Hi, my name is Kaitlyn McConnell with Ozarks Alive. I lead a website that's dedicated to the preservation and sharing of Ozarks history and culture. I've lived in the Ozarks my entire life, save a 3-year period when actually I moved to Norway, of all places. And being away was one of the reasons that I came back and started the blog. I was very homesick. But one of the things of many that pained me was not being able to write about the Ozarks. And that is what I've wanted to do ever since I went to college, was spend my life as a journalist writing about the Ozarks. And so when I came back, I thought, I'm not gonna wait for somebody to give me a job because it might never come. I might be waiting 50 years from now. So I'm just gonna start this site myself, and then it just kind of grew from there. For the website, I write stories about different topics throughout the region. A lot of them are historical focused, but some of them are contemporary as well. This is kind of my side thing. My real job, if you will, is I work as a media relations coordinator at Cox Health, which is my Monday to Friday job. This is really my weekend and evening obsession. Ozarks Alive started in 2015, but my love of writing actually started in 2005. I was still in high school at the time and began writing a weekly column for the Marshfield Mail called Landmarks. I was a high school junior at the time. I was, not someone you would probably think writing a weekly column for that paper, but I was given a great opportunity and was given the chance to delve in. And I had already had a love of history at that point, but I was the writing that developed from there. And that's really what started my progression into the love of Ozarks history and culture that I have today. And of course, tied eventually toward the formation of Ozarks Alive. For me, it was important to really preserve Ozarks history, number one, and culture as a component to that through the blog. So when I launched it in July of 2015, number one, I didn't know if anybody would be interested at all. I figured I'm just gonna do this, it's gonna be fun, and if it's just fulfillment for me, that's enough to make it worthwhile. But what I set out to do was write a story about every week, about a different place, business, person, piece of history to share with readers. So those topics have been wide and varied since then. I've done things like Red Oak 2. It's this unique artisan village created by Lowell Davis out by Carthage. I've done the story behind Talking Rock's Cavern when it used to be Fairy Cave. I've done more contemporary stuff like there's a park in Marshfield I just wrote about called Hidden Waters Nature Park, which isn't history, but it is unique, and it is showing that flavor of the Ozarks. That's another thing, is just really celebrating where we live. That's one of my missions through this, is to really celebrate where we live and show how cool it is and how unique it is. While publications still do focus on the Ozarks, there aren't many devoted to the preservation of Ozarks history. And so that's one thing that really fueled my desire to start this now, because I see how many of these people are disappearing. Ever since I started in July of 2015, there's already a handful of people I've interviewed who have passed away. I mean, that to me, the time is critical. Like, it's always been critical throughout history, but especially now. I mean, I feel like, especially since Ozarks culture is changing a lot more rapidly today than it did, say, 50 years ago, it's important to preserve these stories while we still have that opportunity, because that opportunity is quickly going away. A lot of people ask me why I don't try to make money from the site. And for me, it's about keeping my passion at the forefront. I don't want to put financial aspects into this and kind of dilute my focus. And so, this has been a nice balance. I have my regular job, and then I get to do this for fun. And if a story doesn't get a lot of shares or likes, it's not going to stress me out. I want to give this content for free to people because it's important to me that they have it. That's always going to be a core thing, making this free and accessible to everybody. That's a core component of the blog. But as far as getting into a full-time job, it's just more important to keep it about my passion and not about money.